You're listening to Ciminelli Chats, where we aim to share the latest Ciminelli company news, real estate industry insights, and announcements. Right off the bat, I do have to say this was a very fun episode to record and edit. Episode 7 is all about public art, a topic that was inspired by an ongoing project at Buffalo's Lafayette Court Building. The Lafayette Court Building was constructed in 1816 and has existed as a hotel and a famous department store before it was converted into office space in the mid-1980s. The building is located at 465 Main Street in the heart of downtown's Central Business District. And the 190,000 square foot building is a landmark of the Central Business District streetscape. Currently, Ciminelli Real Estate Corporation is in the process of completing a significant renovation to modernize the lobby, tenant spaces, and building exterior, while providing attractive amenities to the public and tenants within the building. Through our renovation process, we saw a unique opportunity to engage with the city through the street-level facade, and public art was the obvious choice, given Ciminelli's past experiences at other downtown buildings like the Sinclair and 201 Ellicott. We were able to partner with a local artist, Danielle Saeva, to create 6 unique renderings with an obvious Buffalo flavor that we think the public will love. Danielle joined us for this episode to discuss the impact of public art and why it has become such a staple within our city. We really hope you enjoy. Before I even get into questions, can you introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your background as an artist?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Danielle Saeva. I'm a painter and I'm an art teacher in Buffalo. I work for a nonprofit art school on the east side called Locust Street Art. So I'm an art educator, I'm a painter. I also am involved with the Buffalo Society of Artists and Hunt Gallery by Lafayette Square. Just continuing to build my art practice, art education, and bring those two fields together. Yeah.
Can you briefly define what constitutes public art?
Yeah, public art is art that's for everybody. So accessible art that is in your community, for your community, and for people outside that community who are coming to visit. So just a type of art that is there to kind of lift up the community.
And can it exist in multiple formats? Obviously you did this mural, but what else could public art be?
Sculpture. It can be, it can branch even towards like performative art. I've seen that too. So, art's not just, painting, drawing, sculpture. It's also performance as in, theater or music, things like that. So even like a band playing down the road or for a parade, I consider it to be public art.
What is your experience with public art?
Yeah, I've done a mural before at a restaurant in Buffalo. Because I work for Locust Street, we do a lot of public art for like the east side and that community, but I would like to do more.
Is there a program at Locust Street for public art specifically?
There is not. We have a lot of outreach as far as being connected with the community as well as other art organizations. So my department is like drawing and painting. A lot of times when like public art will come about for our organization, we all kind of come together, figure out what it is we want to do, and then decide if that works with our mission. So not a specific department, but we all kind of come together and figure out what we want to do.
Very cool. Kind of branching off of that, what does the commission process look like for a public art project?
Yeah, so there's 2 major ways. Actually, kind of 3. The first being someone reaches out to you. Someone kind of knows you and they will kind of tell you what they're looking for. Sometimes they have something really specific. Sometimes it's less specific where they're, do your thing, give us a proposal, and then we'll approve it or not. The second way is to look for opportunities. So there's quite a few in Buffalo too. ASI, WNY, they're the art initiative in Buffalo that's trying to get jobs and opportunities out to artists in Buffalo, and they're constantly posting like opportunities for public work. There was just one for a mural project. They'll post the space that it needs to be in. They have a call for proposals, and then you'll put in your proposal, and then a committee will sit down and pick which one they want for that space. And then the third one is just kind of reaching out, which I've done before. I'll be like, hey, I've seen that wall. You need a mural, so sometimes taking that initiative too, which, I've done, I know many artists have done too. But those are the 3 like main ways.
Side note, I just went to the restaurant Hombre y Lobo and I was eating my taco, and then your Instagram handle was face to face with me, and I was like, oh my God, it's Danielle's work.
It's so funny because I feel like Instagram handles are now like the new like artist signature.
Yeah.
You know, it's like not like adding my signature anymore. It's just like, all right, just slap on the Instagram handle.
Yeah, but that's how we find a lot of artists. It's seeing art on the street or a sidewalk and noticing that Instagram handle, and then we grab it to reach out.
Exactly. And then, being able to like engage with them further and see what they're doing and continue to see what they're doing. Yeah.
Awesome. So what is the importance of public art in the Buffalo community, and what has its impact been?
Yeah, so this one's one of my favorites. Buffalo just loves anything that's new, right? Like I feel like Buffalo is so welcoming to public art. And public art's important because accessibility, right? Like Albright Knox right now is closed. So where do you get art? Where do you consume that art? People who aren't in the art field or aren't really involved in like fine art, they can still have and see and reap the benefits of public art. It's just engaging art that the whole community can kind of come together and recognize and identify with. Buffalo specifically too, like we have a lot of like smaller public art, right? Like Shark Girl was one of them. Mm-hmm. And there's just this little statue in Canal Side and it just took off. You see like merchandise for Shark Girl. So I think Buffalo is so willing to accept anything that comes their way, especially just within the art community. I find that in Buffalo, the reason I stayed here too as an artist is because I find it to be really welcoming, and there's not really a competition there because everybody just wants art, right? Everybody wants to engage in those things. So I think that bringing that like beauty of art to Buffalo, everyone loves it, everyone's on top of it, and it just creates a closer, tight-knit community.
Mm-hmm. Are there specific pieces of public art that you think make it effective, or is that kind of situational to the piece?
I guess that actually, for me, comes more from, what do we define as like good art? But I think the other component is like the meaning behind it, right? Is it engaging the community in a way that relates to them? Or is it just something that somebody from outside of Buffalo or who doesn't understand the community that they're serving, is it detached? So a lot of times I think what makes better art or good art is that it has the community in mind.
Mm-hmm. Have you experienced that level of impact of public art in other cities, or have you seen other elements that you think, yeah, that'd be really cool to bring to Buffalo?
Yeah. Every time I think about like public art, I think of like Chicago and the Big Bean, right? Mm-hmm. And like, why is that so successful? Because it's so engaging. It's huge, and it warps our sense of like perspective of ourselves. And you can see this huge scope of people, even though you're standing in one space. So I think bringing something like that to Buffalo, I'd be really interested in, of something that large of scale that includes that many people, that kind of warps that perspective. It becomes like a staple.
Yeah, it does. I mean, are you even visiting Chicago if you don't have a picture of the bean?
Right, right, exactly. And it's because it's so big, it's so huge, and it's so like impactful.
Mm-hmm. So shifting gears a little bit here. What was your inspiration for this Buffalo-centric mural facing Main Street?
I was thinking about all these elements of like, how do you like engage the community? So I really wanted it to be like super engaging. Like, okay, I recognize this place. Even like the skyline, I wanted it to be like backlit by the sunset, because we all know that like the sunset comes over the water, and then having these little kind of like Easter eggs that people could go search for, right? The guy jumping into the table, like I love Buffalo's passion so much. Like I'm from Buffalo, I grew up in Buffalo. I'm now helping grow Buffalo's art scene, and I really just wanted it to be like joyful and like reflect how like passionate and beautiful Buffalo is, not just our architecture, but also within people in our community. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite piece in the mural?
I really like the skyline because it just reminds me of coming home from wherever on like the Skyway, seeing like the city kind of like backlit. And then I really do like the Josh Allen one. I just really liked having that little kid being like, "What's up?" and then him just kind of like hurtling, "What's going on?"
Yes, that one and the guy jumping through the table is what we've seen people take the most photos of so far. Even during installation, they loved those the most.
It's like fun, you know? It's so fun.
Can you talk a little bit about how that piece relates to the history of Buffalo?
One thing that I love about Buffalo is our architecture. Buffalo has such a strong history that's reflected just within like our architecture and the buildings that are there. So I really did want to incorporate like the old with the new. Like a lot of like the elements that I added, like these are kind of newer things of Buffalo, like the bills and even like the Buffalo Strong and Sean McDermott's shirt, he has like the Choose Love, bringing those old elements of architecture and that kind of history that we see in front of us into a new context with these like newer things that Buffalo are experiencing and also are becoming part of our culture.
How do you hope the community engages with your public art?
I mean, I hope they take pictures, you know, but I really hope that they're just able to relate and see the passion that they all have. That's the reason why it's there. We hold a lot of these things on such high pedestals. Like I said, with Shark Girl, for instance, what other city is going to take this small little public art piece and make it into like an icon? Same with like the Bills players, same with like, you can see the passion in the Bills fans. So I really hope that they see themselves within it and the culture that they built. None of those elements would have existed if it wasn't for the people of Buffalo.
Can you share your process creating this piece? I mean, first of all, it's a temporary piece, so that has to come into play. But second of all, it's such an odd medium. You're not painting per se, and this is going to be a digital format that's going to be printed on vinyl and then applied to windows. So what did that look like for you?
It's actually a really good question. I find that digital art's kind of fun. Because you can do so much with it. Because I created these things and now they're being printed on these vinyl. But although the vinyl is temporary, you can make those into another poster. You can make them into, you know, merchandise or whatever it may be. But it is such a different process. I'm a painter. So normally, you know, I'm getting messy and it's a very physical work, where this is very like in your house, a lot more conservative type work, which is it's fun in its own regard too.
Your comments about, you know, kind of working digitally, I mean, I think it's a testament to your ability. Really, that's a hard transition to make. You kind of downplay it, but I think that's a real legitimate point. Like that really speaks to true talent, that you can kind of make it happen anywhere.
Yeah, it also comes from, because I'm a teacher too, right? So I don't teach kids, I teach adults. So I teach anyone from like 14 plus. Most of my students are older, and a lot of them don't know how to use like tablets and things like that. And I see their art and I'm like, okay, you need to use a tablet. So I'm like, I got to learn how to use a tablet, you know? So a lot of that, I can do all these mediums because, you know, I have to be there for my students too, you know? I do like the idea though of like temporary art too, because then there's sort of like an urgency to it. Like, you guys, you got to go see this now because it's not going to be there forever. Part of that though, I do kind of enjoy, even though it's like, oh yeah, it's not going to be there forever. Kind of like that. It gets people excited too about the new building as well.
And so that urgency that you talk about, I mean, it really is, what a great way for us to make a building exciting for a time, right? To build and build and build, and then like, here it is.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think that, you know, public art is kind of the perfect way to deliver that message. Like, something's happening here.
Absolutely.
You know, and like to your point, like, get there.
Absolutely.
You know?
And like, why not make it fun? You know, I've seen so many, you know, buildings are going up and you see their logo, okay, well, something's happening. Something fun is also like currently happening, you know, and I can engage with.
I mean, you have to appreciate that our direction on this was, we were talking about two sets of windows, right? And then, I don't know who said it, but we were like, we should do them all. Yeah, it got like quick buy-in, and we were able to pull it together pretty quickly.
What is the biggest canvas you've designed to date?
Ooh, canvas,
or I guess I would even consider the mural a canvas, so any piece that you've done.
Probably the mural at Umbria Lobo. I think it was like 15 by something feet, so it was pretty large. Probably the biggest one I've done. I have a couple mural stuff lined up though, so there'll be bigger ones soon.
So without giving too much away, where can we see more of your work?
You can see my art in Hunt Gallery. I was a resident there, just kind of like graduated. So you can find my work there. They have just bought a piece of mine. I'm involved with Buffalo Society of Artists. I'm an exhibiting member, and I also am working for them. So you can see my work at BSA shows. I'm trying to also reach out to the community. So hopefully within some buildings, and hopefully outside of some buildings pretty soon. So I'm trying to kind of hit all corners.
Oh yeah. Can we find you on Instagram?
At Danielle.Saeva. Exactly my name with a dot right in the middle. Nice and easy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking of me too. Yeah.
To read more about the renovations occurring within the Lafayette Court Building, check out the links in our show notes. The Buffalo mural can be found at 465 Main Street in the heart of downtown. Thank you again to Danielle Saeva for turning our idea into a reality with your incredible talent, and to VSP Graphic Group for the beautiful vinyl work and install. I'm Grace Johnson, and this has been Ciminelli Chats. Until next time. This podcast is a production of Ciminelli Real Estate Corporation Marketing.